Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Royal Talents Creators Studio Live. My name is Jeff Olson. I am the Art Education Director for Royal Talents North America, and I'm going to be your host today. I have a new thing, you might have noticed it on the opener there, to share with you, and that is our new consumer newsletter. You can find that at royaltalentsnorthamerica.com, and I will put that into the comment later on in the show. Go there and click and sign up for that, and you'll be privy to all the fun stuff going on at Royal Talents in the US and Canada. So make sure and check that out. As always, we're doing a wonderful giveaway today. If you type in "I love Cobra" into the comment section during the live broadcast, reside in Canada or the US, you'll be eligible to win your very own set of Cobra Artist Water Mixable Oils. And I'll announce that at the end of the show, the winner at the end of the show. The colors are going to be the colors that Karen is sharing with us today. So you get your very own Karen Weiss set. Be super cool, customized. So make sure you make that "I love Cobra" comment in today's show during the broadcast. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by contemporary painter Karen Weiss, whose luminous, intuitive works live in that magical space between abstraction and landscape. She is now based in Venice Beach, Florida. Karen is known for her dynamic palette knife technique, which you'll see firsthand today, creating paintings that shimmer with color, atmosphere, and imagination. She's a passionate mentor, a member of the Salmagundi Art Club in New York and the American Women Artists Society, and the creator of Illusions of Ambiance, a unique performance program where she brings together audiences right into her creative process. Really exciting. Hopefully, be able to check that out. Karen has had a fascinating journey from her roots in Charleston, running restaurants with her husband, but now is dedicated fully to art, teaching, and family life. So we're excited to dive into her story, her process, and the inspiration behind her work. Please, everybody, welcome me and join Karen Weiss. Karen, how are you?
Sorry about that. My mute button was disappearing, but I'm great and glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me and welcome everybody.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today, Karen. I really appreciate it, and especially inviting us into your studio. I'm already excited just by what I'm seeing on the screen, and I'm sure everyone else is as well. You said you were in Florida. Where is Venice Beach, Florida? I'm not familiar with that.
Part of the Sarasota area.
Okay.
We're just 25 minutes from downtown Sarasota on a good traffic day.
On a
So,
good traffic
yeah.
day.
And I'm just about 3 miles from Venice Beach, which just segues into Sarasota Bay. So it's a great
Beautiful.
place to be.
Beautiful. But you're originally from the Carolinas, right?
Right. Charleston is my home. My husband and I had businesses there. And then we had a little mountain cabin in North Carolina for a long while. So we did the joint living. And anyway, we love Florida because we would come here in the winter to play croquet.
Yeah.
But croquet is a competitive sport for us. And my husband's a championship player. So we moved to be where all the croquet players were.
I
And
love that. I've seen some of the pictures of you guys competing, and they're wonderful.
yeah, I'm trying to get as good as him, but I do art too. So
That's fantastic.
I have to divide my time between athletics and art.
For sure, for sure. I know it. We've all got our life, the complexity of our lives that we have to navigate, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody who've been on the show, you kind of know how it goes. I've got a few questions for Karen before we dive into the slideshow of her work. She shared some great images of her work. And then I'm going to turn it over to her, and she is going to give us a wonderful demonstration of her technique, and she's going to talk about her palette. Specifically, she's going to be focused on some of the transparent techniques and colors that she uses. And I'll be sharing some information in the background for that as well. So the first question I have for you, Karen, is your paintings have this kind of dreamy mix of abstraction and landscape. What do you enjoy most about working in that kind of in-between space?
Well, I love the illusion of things. I like the landscape the best, and I always bring that into my work. And I mostly start out with landscape. Sometimes it just goes into full blown abstract and it just comes out of nowhere, like an intuitive thought or some kind of punt goes on with the paint, and I see something.
Yeah.
So, but I like just the simplicity of the landscape without a whole lot of detail. If you think about Turner, his work,
Hmm.
um, J.M. W. Turner, J.M.
Love Turner. Yeah, one of my
You
favorites.
see a lot of his early work was more realistic, as was mine. And then as he went into his later phase, he got more and more the illusion of the scene and the paint. And I'm not really drawn to that. I think just to give you a glimmer of the landscape is good enough for me.
Oh, sorry, we had a little blackout on my side. Apologize for that. Yeah, Turner is one of my all-time favorite painters. He's so ahead of his time. Some of his paintings look so contemporary, don't they? They feel
Yeah.
like they could have been created just yesterday.
I spent a whole day looking at his work at the National Gallery in London, and I was mesmerized. It was a great day.
Yeah, it really is fantastic. The Tate has a great collection too, just really, really beautiful paintings. And I can totally see how your work resonates with that, especially the wonderful textures and surface and the scumbling technique that he employs is echoed in your work as well. So really a great relationship there. Which is takes me to a nice segue to my next question, and that is your use of the palette knife or the painting knife. You use it a lot in your process. What makes that tool so exciting for you compared to using the brush?
And these are my skinny ones. I love the skinny ones the best. As you can see, they're more like a long skinny tool than what you're used to seeing is more of the triangular ones. But I could just manipulate it all kinds of ways, up, down, around, sideways, the tip, the side. And it's just a good blender. It's a good blender of the paint. The brush does the blending too, but this one as well. So I just got where I was comfortable with the blending of the paint more than the brush. Of course, I use brush as well, but I like to mix on my canvas, right on the painting. I mix on the palette, I mix on the canvas. So this I can do it. I can do it with this because you're mixing the paint with a palette knife usually. Most people do. Sometimes they mix with brush only, but I do. I use the palette knife to mix my paint. So I just start to put it on the canvas and it works.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Why just cut out the middleman, go direct, right?
well, one day I had this epiphany. I was painting with my friend Jane, who was an all palette knife painter, and she said, "What are you doing? You're taking so long. Just get it on the canvas and go with it with a palette knife." And I did. And I said, "Oh, you're right. This is good. I like it." So that was around
That's a fun way to think
2002.
about it. It is. Yeah, it is very immediate. And I really do get right into it. And I just love the surface quality. I like to use palette knives in my work as well. It's not exclusive. I usually use a brush in the beginning and then move into the palette knife and
Mhm.
finish with the palette knife. But I love that texture and the way you can manipulate the paint directly on the surface of the canvas. It's really
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, and I like the scraping. This is allows you to scrape. The brush you can't scrape. I like the transparencies. Those colors that are transparent I like because you can scrape and you can see the transparency begin to layer, and you can do that by scraping with a knife.
Yeah, yeah, really reveal some of the undertones of some of those colors. And I can see how those transparent colors really work with that technique in a magical way. Um, Speaking of that kind of process, you paint very intuitively. What does that look like when you first step up to a blank canvas?
Well, I usually have something in mind. I might have sky and earth, like a nice horizon line of the ocean or the bay. I'm really drawn to the bays here. They're vast. And growing up in Charleston on the marshes, they were vast. So I'm drawn to that. It's one of my main things I like to paint is marshes and vastness. So sometimes it doesn't stay there. It goes somewhere else. And I that's a great question because I don't know what's going on in my brain that makes it punt towards something else. And sometimes it's just totally abstract, and I'm going, okay, I like this. Let's go with it. And I call on my intuition to guide me, and um, I'm comfortable with that. I don't want to be married to a photo, completely a photo that's perfect. Every branch or every leaf is just like the photo. I like to be able to have that play period where I see what the paint's doing for me and where I can go with it.
I have a very similar process. For me, it's about discovery, right? I don't know what the finished painting is going to be.
Well, that's why I enjoy your work very much. I always look for your new work and think, oh, wow, he's got a new idea. Great.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes painting interesting and exciting, right? Those discoveries you make in the
Yeah.
process and in the finished work and how that compels or
Don't be
propels
scared
you.
of it because to be afraid of it is just death. So you need to just go with it and have fun.
Yeah, yeah. And you can see in your paintings the courageous moves that you make and that process really reveals, I think, some exciting results. Absolutely. I think folks are going to love it. Actually, let's go ahead. Let's jump into the slideshow. I'm going to
Okay.
go ahead and share that with everybody. Let me find it. You'll see that come up here real quickly. We'll get into, there we go, illusions of ambience. So tell me a little bit about that. You were telling me before we went live what the illusions of ambience or how that came about.
Well, I had a show and my gallery owner wanted to call it Illusions. And I thought it was maybe more exciting if we had illusions of ambiance because Jane and I were doing these on stage, two women painting. We called it Two Women, Two Visions at first. We would both paint palette knife and we'd have the same subject. Sometimes the audience would give us a subject. And so we wanted to name it. So we named it after my show, Illusions of Ambiance, because it says it all. We're creating something on the spot. It's illusionary, it's intuitive, and who knows what's going to happen. So it just gives it a good, fun name.
That's great. It's fun. I love how that evolved, and I love how it's a partnership between the two of you.
Yeah, we had a great time. Shane moved to New York. I moved to Florida. So we're more relaxed on that now. But maybe somebody will call us again and we'll show up.
That would be fantastic. Maybe we can do a show with both of you. That might be
It's
fun.
a lot of fun and the audience participates, and that's the best part.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Sounds fun. Well, let's dive into some of the paintings then. We'll take a look at this first one here, and you can tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, this one was a demo I did at Lake Logan in North Carolina a few years back. I think it was right right before COVID hit. Um, and it's the lake there, the light on the lake, just right outside the studio. And the lake just surrounds this art conference center where the teaching goes on. So I'm looking out the window, getting my subject matter, and that light was just so perfect. So the whole class painted this, and we just had a blast painting the illusion of the light. There you go, the ambiance,
Yeah.
the reflections of the pine trees in the water, and the grasses in the water was extremely fun, and they learned a lot.
That looks great. And I love the textures that you get all throughout this painting, but especially on the water, especially that green that's just kind of skipping across the surface. Beautiful.
Thank you. This is just sort of my beach that I go a lot and walk at night or at dusk rather. And I just wanted to really simplify. The water here is so turquoise. It's amazing. You think you're in the Caribbean, but it's that way all over Sarasota Bay, all the way down to, Naples and the Keys. It's that color. So I just wanted that purple and green color that I see in the landscape. And I wanted it very simple. I didn't want a lot of crashing waves and I wanted a simple sky. And you can see the pull and scrape of the palette knife all through the work, just left and right, because it's more of a linear painting.
Yeah, it's very dreamlike. I think folks look at these colors and immediately associate that kind of with that part of the country. But it's exactly what those colors are like. You're right. The turquoise of the water is just so unique and incredible.
There's a lot of purple in it too,
Yeah, yeah,
surprisingly. And our sand is very white. So that's a challenge.
yes, beautiful. Well, I love how you kind of the grain, the beautiful gray. Grays can be so stunning, and especially with these kind of wonderful pastel-like colors.
This one is a demo I did for the Mastrius class a couple years ago. I was teaching for Mastrius. I took a sabbatical for a while to travel. So that one was my bay, the one that I like to visit a lot here. And I just wanted to simplify the shapes of the marshes and the water. The water was changing from dark blue to that Caribbean blue. So, and the background was shimmery. So that was another wonderful palette knife opportunity to be more linear, high horizon and a vast look, which I'm really drawn to.
Yeah, that horizon line is really wonderful. That nice dark line that kind of cuts across. But then this white or lighter valued kind of land head offsets it and balances it really nice. And these textures are fantastic. Right?
Well, you can see the tap tap of the palette knife, which I'll show you today on a short demo. The tap tap of the palette knife, I call it tap tap because it makes the breaks of the light and dark nice when you just slightly tap the paint. So you
Mhm.
can see it there, left, right, in these little small lighter places.
Yeah, no, it looks nice. I really like, especially in this area and then down through there. There's kind of a rhythm that it creates too that's really wonderful.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. This is the same kind of thing, but more dramatic in a late day. I was introduced by you to Perling Black, a Cobra color, a new one. And I tried that on this piece in the water because the water was really dark that day that I snapped a photo. This is not exactly what the photo looks like at all. I just went into my intuition and figured out, how the cloud should be shaped according to the water. And I wanted to shape it real close to the water because it was a dramatic day of cloud form. So that's the new color that I'll show you that I like, Perline Black by Cobra.
It's a fun color. We'll talk about it some more, but yeah, really, really stunning. And the cloud is fantastic. And I love how the softness of the touch or application of the paint as it recedes into space, it really gives you that sense of
And that's the Turner cloud.
yeah,
That's the
yeah, yeah.
scumbling,
All
over
that
the
wonderful
palette knife.
crumbling.
That's the scumbling. You can't get those colors just with the palette knife. You got to have a little help once it dries of the scumbling brush, and
Yeah,
that's a lot of scumbling.
yeah, that's nice. What's the scale of this? Do you remember?
That's 12 by 12.
Yeah, it looks like it could be a great big painting.
Actually, I want to do it bigger. I've
You want to
decided.
go
This one is bigger. This one is a 30 by 40. And then this is another kind of Turner idea of weather. I was
Mhm.
drawn to that choppy weather. A friend of mine introduced me to this place to paint here when I first moved here, and we got there, and all of a sudden the weather came. I didn't do this painting there. I did this painting after the fact. I just made it up in my head. I just made up what I saw, which was these clouds just bursting downward into the water, almost like a water spout. So this is completely made up,
Love the strong diagonals in the composition.
and a lot of scumbling too on the
Yeah, and a
cloud.
lot of scumbling there.
Just in the clouds is scumbling. I don't usually scumble water.
Hmm.
I scumble light things like clouds or marsh.
Some of that tapping again. I like
The tap tap. Yeah.
that. Oh, this is fun.
Yeah, that was fun. And I actually got a couple of commissions from this. The first one I did was like 14 by 18, and then the commissions I got were 30 by 40. Well, actually, one was 36 by 46. But that started out being a mountainscape. And then when I moved to Florida, I hadn't finished it. I just changed it a little bit because of the green flash that everybody was seeing
Mhm.
across the land, across the vast beach area. So I just put a little green line up there to, uh, I don't know why. I just thought, I'm going to do this and see how it looks. And I liked it. And because of that green line, people have asked me to create another painting like that on commission. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. So you never know what people like, but that was fun.
Yeah, no, I like that too. That turquoise really pops against the other colors.
But
Nice
I
variety
went
there.
from a mountainscape to a Florida idea, but it can be whatever you want. It can be still in mountainscape if you want it
It
to
could
be.
be. Yeah, yeah. Little tidal pool. I can see all sorts of things. But yeah, the just the composition and the contrast and value and color along that edge and the variety of shapes is really a nice composition.
People often ask me, "What did you see when you did that?" I saw what I saw at the moment. I wasn't really looking for anything. The painting sort of spoke to me. It told me that there was a good shape there. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
So that's why I call it punting. It's just fun to do that. Sometimes you don't get lucky.
Yeah,
Sometimes
absolutely.
they don't go into a sale or a gallery or in my house to hang. They go in the closet because they're not behaving. But I'll pull them out later on and bring them back to life.
Yeah. They're the kind of things that you can't preconceive. You can't begin a painting imagining this. It has to come from that process of discovery. Yeah.
And oftentimes when I teach, I'll bring one of these out that is in the ugly stage that I call it. You know, that ugly stage.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I'll revive it. And I don't know what I'm going to do to revive it. I just try these techniques to show them that you can revive it, or with scumbling or another pass of paint with a palette knife, or with another kind of brush, or even a rubber shaper. Sometimes those rubber shapers can move the paint
Yeah.
because they're rubber and not hard like a palette knife. They move it in a different way. So we try these things and we bring them to life.
I think it is really fun for people to explore different type of tools to apply the material. And those are an example. The Princeton ones I really love, and but there's a lot of different things, including a fork out of your kitchen drawer. There's so many fun marks you can make with the paint.
Mhm. This one was kind of, it started out as a mountain lake scene, and it went to the full blown abstract. I call it full blown abstract because it's doing its own thing. So I added the water at the bottom, the dark water and the light water, just sort of give it a reference to lake in the mountains. But it could be anything you see in it. But that's how it started. But that's not how it ended.
It's interesting how we all bring our kind of accumulated experience of seeing to these type of images. I mean, when I saw it, I lived in Hawaii for a while, and my family was there for a while, and this reminds me very much of kind of the lava rock that goes down into the ocean, and you get these variety of colors in the water as a result, and that kind of fun clash between land and sea.
Yeah, that the secret is not to mess with it when you see something interesting happen. If you're going to try to massage it into something you think it should be, then you've lost that essence.
Yeah,
So the whole thing is to just enjoy the experience of the paint.
that's wonderful. And this one,
Again, this is sort of in that same genre as the previous one. A landscape feel, maybe dusk, maybe early morning, who knows, but water and shapes that resemble a landscape, but it's more of an abstract.
I love the colors in this one. They are very dramatic. That gray up at the top and the way it kind of dissolves into the center is really stunning.
This is probably one of my very favorite paintings. I did it very fast on Monhegan Island with four tube paint, um, ultramarine blue, gray. I think it was one of the Portland grays at that time. Um, and it, it's a green black. It wasn't your green black because it wasn't invented then, but it was a green black that somebody had on our trip. We were five artists, and I liked it. I borrowed it. I don't know what it's called, but you have a new one out called Pearly and Black that I think is very similar to that. So because I was limiting what I took with me on the walk, I didn't want to have to carry very much, and I sat on a rock and did it um, on my lap because we were really more interested in walking around and looking at things and painting. But then we ended up having an opportunity to sit and paint, and I just liked how fast it went. I think I did it in 30 minutes and we were out of there, and I was very pleased with it. It's very simple, just three shapes: sky, water, and rocks.
Yeah, it illustrates what you were just talking about just letting it live, letting it be when you hit it,
Know when to stop.
know when to stop. And what's the scale on this one?
That's just a little guy. He's 8 by 10. I have him here.
Oh yeah.
Where
Well,
did I
hold
put
on to it. They won't be able to see it
Okay,
very well
I
yet.
have it here. If you ask me later, I'll bring it out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's little.
Great. These are fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing these. I did put together, so Karen's going to be talking a bunch about transparency and opacity, mainly transparency. So, wanted to give some information to folks about that real quick. So I added a couple slides into the deck here. The first is just kind of what do the symbols mean, and this will help you navigate it if whether you're shopping for Cobra or Rembrandt or one of the other Royal Talens products. So we have four categories that paints tend to fall into in terms of their opacity and transparency. There's very transparent, was this kind of empty square, semi-transparent that has the line through it, semi-opaque, which is half and half, and then this completely black square is the opaque. And what that translates into is this type of result. So the completely transparent colors, you can see right through them to the ground color. The very, very transparent and really wonderful for glazes and optical mixtures. Semi-transparent, you still get a lot of visibility through there, but the color becomes a little more intense. Semi-opaque has good coverage. A lot of these colors have really good coverage, but there's still a slight transparency to them, which gives you the ability to manipulate them either way. And then finally, completely opaque. This is where the paint completely obscures what's underneath it. So I just wanted to give you that information before we go into the demo with Karen, which we're going to do right now. She is going to switch her camera around a little bit, and I'm going to keep chatting. I'm seeing lots of fantastic comments and hellos. Thank you so much. We have other Turner fans out there too, Karen. That's fantastic.
The best.
Yeah, and I see some I love Cobras out there. So we got a few folks who are ready to win some paint. Keep on entering that, you guys.
Yeah, that's a great
Really,
incentive.
really nice.
Okay.
Nice to see some familiar faces, or I should say names anyways. I can't see your faces, but great to see some folks back joining us.
Well, hello, everybody. I guess I get to look at this replay to see who those people are. I hope so, but well,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you'll be able to do that. So you'll be able to, and that's true for folks who are watching. If you missed any part of this or want to just go back and see it in its entirety after the fact, maybe you had to leave before it was finished, you'll be able to go back at your leisure and watch the show. And Karen will be able to go back and see all of your comments and answer some questions on that, especially if we don't get to it in today's live show. So if you want to go ahead and get, you're all ready to talk about your colors, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you then.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead. This is my prop board of the colors in the tube and abbreviated. And Jeff has the names of the full names of each tube of paint. And so it is a transparent palette. I use zinc and titanium white. Sometimes I mix the two, depending on the strength of white I want. And I try to get as much transparency as I can. Of course, some of these are not transparent, like the warm gray is not transparent. And the yellow, I use primary yellow now, the Cobra primary yellow, and it really fits the bill for every yellow I need. I use an Indian yellow, which is transparent. So that's that. So I'm going to move that away. Now, it is a split complementary, meaning I use two blues, actually three reds, two yellows. So of the primary, there's at least a split between warm and cool. So there's that. And
Can you go, Karen, before you take that down, just from left to right, go through the color names again real quick.
All right. Cobalt blue, which is not transparent, but could be. Transparent ultramarine blue, transparent red oxide, red medium, but I use the Cobra transparent one. Let's see, what Indian yellow, and then the transparent primary yellow, warm gray, yin and yang between raw umber and a transparent black. So I've got these two tubes here. And I usually set this up when I teach in person so people remember what I have and they don't have to go around rummaging for it. So I just tape them up here, clip them up here so that if they run out, they can come borrow it and then put it back on the clip too. So that's why it's here. I do use this transparent carmine. I forgot about him. He's a Cobra color, and carmine is always transparent. And it's also called alizarin crimson with Rembrandt and other tube colors. Other brands. Okay, I think that's everything. And then every now and then I will add my added colors, but usually this is it. I just use the blue, red, and yellow with a little bit of gray or raw umber or black. And I keep it simple. I know my mix is this way, and then if I want to add anything later on, I can take it out of the drawer and use it. I love some of the new colors you've got with Cobra. This Potter's Pink, I often will use. I don't know whether you can see how pink it is, but it's great. You have the chartreuse green, and I'll pull that out sometimes if you need a little hit of light green. Here's the Perline. And then you've got this transparent green yellow now, which I've used to glaze the other day to try it because it's new to me. And I actually used it in one of these paintings up here I'm working on, and it worked great. Glazing is another way of enhancing your colors when the painting is dry. If you know glazing, but if you don't, I'm happy to explain it. Okay, so I'm going to move this prop out of the way and get ready to show you the demo. I'm going to sit here on the stool and get it perfect. Jeff, you tell me how close.
Right.
Is that good?
Good. That looks good. Yeah.
All right.
Actually, maybe a little over to the center of the painting. A little bit more.
Forward.
There we go. That's
Okay.
good. That's good.
So this is my gray palette paper, and it's a vertical. I usually work my palette flat, but for today's purposes, I have it on a vertical. I have it on this ledge. I use a wall easel, and it's magnet. It's called a Steezel. So I have everything up here that I'm working on this week. This is the painting. This is what I'm going to demo here. Can you see that? Okay, I'm going to move this anyway.
Now you'll have to move it down.
I'll
Yeah.
have to move. Okay, so this is a toned canvas that's dry. I toned it yesterday and it's dry. I like to tone my canvas because I don't like it white. Unless I really want it white, like I'm doing snow or something, then I might want it white. But landscape, I usually do a tone, a really pale yellow, pale, just something pale, sometimes a violet. Just depends on what I'm doing. This is the finished piece. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so this is going to be, hopefully, it'll be the start of this again. So here's a tone. And what I do first is I take transparent red oxide. I take a soft brush. I have water here I'm dipping into. I have transparent red oxide, and I just tone it. A lot of water. The water will evaporate, of course. If you're used to using solvents, the solvents evaporate as well. So I've got, oh, I think I've just went into the carmine. Oh, well, it's fine. You get the idea. I'm not working on this. But the reason why I wash it over the tone is so I can get my shapes in with either a wet one, since we're using Cobra and water. A wet one is fine to use, or you can use a paper towel or a tissue. This happens to be a wet one. And then I draw where I want. This is a heron. Oops, my finger got fat. I'll just start from here. I'll just draw in the shape of my branch or tree stump, which is similar to my backyard. I just want to get the shape and where it's going to be. I don't have to be fussy. So that shape is there, and I want basically the idea of where the bird is, just like I've done up here.
Quick question for you, Karen. What was the color you used to tone your canvas?
I use a cat orange and water, Cobra. Sometimes I use Indian yellow, but Indian yellow can be strong. You have to be very careful. So you get the idea. I'm toning, I'm washing, and then I'm drawing in my shape of the bird. And I'm not going to linger because I want to go ahead and start on here, but you get the idea that I'm drawing with a paper towel or the tissue or the wet one, whatever. And I can just wipe it really clean if I want to get a really light pattern and get it the shape I want. I don't have to be really fussy because it will be fixed as I go along. So just so you get the idea of the tone canvas, the wash, and now this one is ready to go on the demo. So that was just sort of a quick, like, baking show kind of thing, to show you how to start. Okay, so
How
that's
long does it take for it to tack up before you can paint over it?
about 30 minutes. So I did this yesterday so that it could be completely dry because I want this to be fast and not have any hindrance of the water being too wet. But yeah, it evaporates pretty quickly. And then just like this one I just did, it'll wash down. See how it's washing down? And I like that. I like that idea because some of the tone will come through of the undertone, the orange. Okay, so that was a soft brush. I think it was a Princeton brush. Okay, now we want to do some palette knife movements. So I want this to be pretty quick so that you guys can get the idea of how this works. I don't want to do a full-blown finished piece because we just don't have that kind of time. But I will mix the colors. I'm going to start with the greens down here at the bottom. So I already have, this is dry, and I, obviously took my wet one and just got the shape I want. So I'm pretty happy with my bird shape. It's dry now, so I don't have to worry with him being out of scale. So I'm going to make some green colors. I'm going to do cobalt and the primary yellow so you can see that. I'm going to try to stay away from any whites for a while. And then here's one with transparent blue ultramarine. So you see there's a darker, the cobalt's darker and the ultramarine is lighter. But that's what I want, so light green and dark green, and then just the white. I mean, just the yellow, excuse me, the lighter tone. Just the dregs, the palette knife, and then the primary yellow. So I've got a dark, medium, and light. And I'm going to show you how I move the knife. That's what the idea of this is about, is to show you how I move the knife. I'm probably not going to have enough yellow. Okay, so I take a clean knife, I wipe it off. Often I wipe it off to get a clean knife. And I'm going to start with the lighter just to give it one pass. And this is what I call skimming. I'm passing the paint, the light color, just to get it activated, just activating the canvas with something going on. So the skinny palette knife, I use the whole blade, the whole side, especially to skim. That's why I love these skinny ones. Sometimes I'll use this skinny one. See how much skinnier it is? But this one I can also flatten it out and you can skip around some of this toned color. All right, let's go to the dark. Let's just make some patterns of light and dark.
I'm going to take you back just a second. There was a question, Karen, about the prep panel you did compared to the one you just did in the demo and the toning. There seems to be a difference in color. Did you use different colors, or is that just the difference in the drying?
It's a difference in the drying, and it doesn't really matter. You're just getting it washed and toned where it's activated. You don't have to be precise with the color every time. Now, I do tend to pick up my pieces and work with them in the air when I skim, especially when I skim, because I'm just activating this part of the canvas. And here's the darker one, some darker ones down here. You see, I'm just doing this very sketchy and very loose, because this is the skim part that will be ready for the next layer. I call this skimming because people can understand it. Is when I go back in the class and say, did you skim that? And they go, yeah, I skimmed it. Okay, just skimming is just getting the paint down there, the first layer. Just think of a wall that you're doing a skim coat before you paint, or prep coat. So there's the light, the dark, and the medium. Okay, so just here, there, and yonder. All right, so that looks pretty loose. Well, that's what I want. Now I'm going to take this primary yellow. I really like this primary yellow that Cobra's making because it's got a little transparency to it. So I'm going to do what's called a grab layer. So this is going to grab onto that skim coat that's wet. So the wet onto wet, and it's going to do all these little grabby things. It's going to make these wonderful little abstract shapes. Sorry about the movement, but it's small. I think it's a 12 by 9.
Are you applying a lot of pressure or just a
No,
light?
very light, very light. I just want to get it in there because I want to do what I call sculpt it. It just lightly grabs. So this is what I call mixing on the canvas. We're just doing, okay, let's take some Indian yellow here. Spread it out, get it flat on my blade, and see what that does. It'll warm it up in places. Now, when people come to my classes and I make them do this, they're almost afraid because they think they're messing it up. No, you're trying to just get it on there so you can actually mess with it. You're not messing it up. You want to get it where you can mess with it. Okay, so that's good. So now I'm going to take this blade, the skinny one, really skinny, and I'm going to do what's called that tap tap I told you about. I'm going to hold it up because it's not doing it flat is not working for me. It's so small. So I'm going to do what I call tap tap. You can hear it. It kind of does tap tap, doesn't it? So what it does is it scrapes and moves the paint together and mixes on the canvas. And look at all the variety you have in there. I probably don't have enough paint for it to do what I'm going to do. So I add another little area of this primary yellow. Now I'm getting more paint. Now I'm tapping it and moving it. Some of the tone and some of the washed underneath color is coming through nicely. It's making a little transparent glow, like a stained glass window effect. So when I'm satisfied with this little 3-inch square, I'll stop and go somewhere else. Okay. Go down here. I want to do it a little bit more paint, more dark. So I'm going to go the medium color. Move more paint in there. Now I'll do the tap. It's a tap scrape, tap scrape. And what I'm doing is watching to see how the paint is making marks that resemble the foliage of where that bird is on the marsh. And you can do this for a long time. That's why I don't want to do the whole painting for you right now because you just don't have that kind of time. But you can do this pat scrape with these 3 colors, yellow, the 2 yellows and the 2 blues, until you get a variety of shapes. The tip allows me to go into a smaller area and the whole blade is a bigger area.
Can you hold it a little closer to the canvas just so we can take a look at it for a second?
Okay.
All right.
Then this is the rubber shaper I told you about. You can actually shape into it if you want and move it around, but I'm not ready for that yet. This is still in the baby stages. Now I'm working in a mid-tone on purpose because I don't want it too dark or too light. I want it just a variated green color because this is what I saw when I took this picture of this bird sitting on this tree stump. It's mostly greens. So moving the paint and looking at it work its magic. Now I'm going to take this one again, this bigger one, wipe it off because a clean knife is the best thing to have. I'll see if I can get closer to the camera and hold it where you can see. I can go up and down to create grasses, and some of that dark will come up from underneath, hopefully. I also have my students do this flat because to learn the technique, it's easier to do it flat. You can see when you do it upright, you have to be perpendicular to the canvas. So that's a little difficult when you're trying to do this tap tap thing. So if you move it around, you have better quality of control. On the edges, I just scrape off the edge and reapply it. It's good paint there. So you can see it's sort of is giving us the idea of marsh grass or marshy kind of boggy areas. If I wanted it darker, I'll go back into the dark and I'll just do a little pass of dark, very gentle, and then, wipe off my blade. I go the tap tap again. So I've still got the same colors I'm using. I just want it more dark there, the edge. It looks as messy as the grass is out there behind my house. I live on a creek. So it's very, very Florida and messy. So that I like that dark ridge there. There's the medium and there's the light. Let's put some more light in there. I have a down palette, the same palette down below, just in case I can't get to it. Let's put some more light to see what a light effect will do over it. So the more paint I put on there, the more interesting it's going to be with shape making. This is another small one. It's got a little bit of a pie shape to it, not much. This is another one I like to make grasses and to use this one. If I want more orange to come out, I can just scrape it off. And the orange will come back from the washed or toned area, rather. So scraping is your friend. If I like that and just want to shape it up a little, I use this rubber shaper. This is the Catalyst brand. And I can just shape it up a little with that. So these are the tools that I use the most in doing this kind of work. Let's see if I can hold on to here. I hope this is something you'll try in your practice. Of course, if you get in trouble, you can go to a brush. Obviously, the bird, I did all brush. I used a Monday mop to do the bird. I like those Monday mops. I'll show you what it looks like. This is the Monday mop. It's round. It's like a filbert, but fatter. And I did the bird, with this Monday mop. Okay, so let's just get a little bit more here where I can move on to the stump. I'll use the medium green. think it's easier holding it up to the camera than it is putting it up on the wall easel. Now, if I want a little bit of a light pattern, I just go right into that primary yellow and let it just glide. Again, I didn't get enough paint. That's why I have this down here to mix instead of upright. Hard to get that upright. I know there's a little bit of water there, so I know I moved in some blue for the water at some point, but you get the idea. Just making it interesting. The more paint I get on there, the more interesting I can sculpt this. If I wanted to move some of the blue water, I think I have some blue mixed up. No, I don't. I'll do the transparent red oxide, which is right here. And probably the cobalt blue. And a little bit of white, so it has the feeling of a gray blue. Takes a while to get there. I can move some of this gray blue down there to simulate water. Not much. And then you just start to assess where you want to go next.
It's fascinating to see how much color mixing you do on the surface of the painting.
Yes, I'm trying to do more of that here for you. I'm forcing myself to do that because it is interesting. Now, this is a Wind River panel. Thought it was Raymar, but it's Wind River. So it's a different surface that I'm used to. So I need more paint, but that's okay because I like less is more. I like sneaking up on the paint and not getting so much in there that I'm got myself into trouble. Okay, I want to stop in a minute and go to the tree trunk. Anyway, you can keep lightening it and darkening it. Let's get rid of some of this Indian yellow. Okay, all right. To do this tree, let me just go ahead and put this dark shape this way above where maybe the water will be. Sometimes I use my arm up. I put my arm up and I can get a better read on a shape with my arm up. It's a different pressure. I can do that. I can begin to see some of the shapes coming out of this color. And when I get where I see something that is a good shape, I need to leave it alone and revisit it later. But let's go ahead and do this tree. Okay, so that is transparent red oxide and ultramarine blue. Transparent red oxide is there. Ultramarine blue. They're really dark chocolate. Usually you get a good chocolate with transparent red oxide and ultramarine. So I'll just pull this down. I might want to put a little bit of the carmine in it, which some of you know that as alizarin crimson, but Cobra calls it carmine. Do you want to elaborate why they call it carmine, Jeff? skimming that. I'm gonna take the gray, it's warm gray.
Sorry, I was muted there.
Okay.
But yeah, carmine comes from originally comes from a little beetle. You guys probably, if you've seen any of my talks before, talk about the cochineal beetle, indigenous to Central and South Africa, breeds on the underside of cactus. And the Aztecs been using it since the 4th century.
I'm just pulling the knife to the shape of the branch. I'm going to put a little bit of this cad red in there because it's gone a little bit dark. I think the cad red will help it stay on the chocolate side. Yeah. You know, if you get in trouble with colors, you have 3 choices: red, yellow, or blue. Pretty easy. You just have to know which color will do what. I'm not doing this really perfect. I'm just getting the shape in. There's some light patterns. Just pulling that onto the skim. And darken it in places while I have the opportunity. Just let it grab and do its thing. It's very barky. So the nice palette knife moves will simulate the ins and outs of the bark. And that little pattern of gray already gives us a little bit of a shape that's round. The tree is round, like your arm. But that's enough. You can play with it later, but that's how you do that. And of course, you keep going with the green. The last thing you do is the bird. I would do green all the way up into the moss, and the moss would be, moss is very light, but I would just simulate some downward movements with some of the blues, and then make a lavender. I can make it down here better than up there. I'm running out of real estate. Make sort of a lavender color. The moss is gray lavender. Light. And pull that down. Scrape it, skim it, and pull it down, and then lighten it up with white. And let it mix on the canvas.
You're gonna have to, yeah, there we go. We couldn't see behind your arm there, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
I get into these things and forget what I'm doing. And then you can, mess with it to make the movement happen. So, do you want me to keep going, or what do you?
Well, I
Yeah.
think we've got some questions here, and
Okay.
yeah, no, this is great. This is great. It's so fun to see your technique with the palette knife. Is there a particular brand of palette knives that you like to use?
I like this Italian one, the RGM. It's just initials. This is an RGM. Of course, it's so old you can't find the logo anymore. Let's see. This one is a RJM. This one is a Liquitex. They're all on Amazon. They're easy to just type in skinny palette knives, and they'll come up. Most of the brands are Liquitex, RGM. I can't think of any more right now. Those are the 2 I usually buy.
There's some good products out there. There's a lot of different brands that are really nice, and they all have a good variety. And I would definitely experiment until you find the one that you enjoy the most.
Mhm. I'm going to put some white in here just because I want you to see more contrast, more yellow white.
Do you ever do online classes? Yeah.
I did for 3 years with Mastrius, but I'm taking a break from that right now. Um, we've been doing a lot of travel this year, so I told them I'd go back in January. So there's a lighter area that's shaping up pretty good, just from that lighter, the white and yellow. So you get to see a little light pattern traveling through the medium tones. And of course, I can go back and put dark anytime. And then start to play with it. Trying to make some grasses in there. And answer questions and do this for a while. This takes a while. This is not something that's one and done. You gotta massage it and play with it and see what the paint's going to allow you to do, what the scraping is going to allow you to do.
Well, it's like we were talking about earlier, right? There's some discovery there, and it takes a little work to get sometimes where you want to be.
Yeah, and what I like about this kind of work is that I get to stop when I see something that's all of a sudden visible. For a while, it's just nothing but a mess. And then something starts to shape up and become visible. And then I get excited.
The reflection we're getting from the camera really kind of shows off the surface texture. Yeah.
Well, because you're using full body paint and you're not brushing it, you're tapping it, it's a different sheen. Um, it also, with the transparencies, allows it to be more like a stained glass window where you see through it. See all the way down to the tone surface. If you really look hard, you can see some of those little glimmers of the tone. You can see a lot of the wash.
Yeah, those transparent colors are beautiful. You're really only using white in that very last layer above there. That's fun to
Yeah.
see.
Yep. That's when it comes alive, when you get the real lights in there. Of course, everybody wants to paint light. And so you got to have light in your painting, but you can't get it until the very end of the painting. So, but I wanted to show you, that's how it goes. Otherwise, I would just keep doing this in the midtones for a long time before I started adding um, the whites.
There was a question about drying time. Do you find these paintings take longer to dry than when you're using a brush?
I find that these have a shorter time because of the air. I think it's the air. I think because I'm mixing it with more air, um, it's drying shorter time. Does that make sense? But I really think it does.
Well, you're using paint straight from the tube, and that can make for a faster drying time. Thickness does have an effect or an impact on the oxidation of the oils, but really it's fat content. So when you're adding additional mediums to the paint, you're increasing the fat content, which increases the time that it needs to oxidize. So just using paint straight from the tube like you are, shouldn't take any longer to dry at all. And like you said, when these kind of layers that you're doing, not too thick, probably dries more quickly than a thin layer with a lot of medium.
So let's just say I really like what I have, but I don't want to mess up some things. I can go with this Monday mop. It's called a Monday mop because of CW Monday. I can go ahead and put some of these shapies back in. Like that water feature is now becoming prominent. So maybe I want to just keep that and just darken around it. So I can go to the brush and develop some of this water. It's just standing water, so I don't want a whole bunch of water. So you don't have to stay with the palette knife the whole time. But I do like all the stuff that happens with the palette knife. And in this particular painting, I think it's finished. I was working on this last week for you guys. See all the little shapes that start to happen. The medium.
Can you hold that up a little bit more?
Okay.
There we go.
The dark, the water shape, the dark and light of the medium tones, and then the lighter patterns that I push through there. And this looks like a little glimmer from this is all wet. This is water, and this is reflecting, the backdrop of the creek. And this bird I took a picture, and he was bathed in light from behind. So that was really what drew me to him. And I wanted to create that in the painting. So this is really pale yellow, Indian yellow, both yellows, Indian yellow, primary yellow, and white in there to create that. And that's all brush, after the fact where I got my moss. But all these little shapes, that's what you get with a palette knife. So it's very abstract, and that's what I am drawn to. And some of them are just nothing at all, but they make it works. Down here, it looks like little amoeba shapes of the wet mud and grass, and it works. So that's what I like to create, just illusions of something, not the real thing. If I tried to get a perfect grass growing here that I saw, I would never be able to do that without messing up what I did with this spontaneous palette knife work. So I don't go for that. I let the paint do it, and I think it works. There is a little odd trash tree, we call him here in Florida, a little trash tree it's kind of ugly, but I wanted to put him in to sort of balance the heron.
Lovely.
So anyway, does that make sense? I could keep
Absolutely. I
going.
love seeing the actual texture too and the reflection. So not only do you have those wonderful shapes that you created with the color and form, but the texture is really enticing as well.
And then I can go in here and shape with a Monday mop. I just do it ever so gingerly to get the shape of that tree. So it's not so jagged. And I can use this little knife to pat it so that it has a nice little connection of paint between the dark and the light. Pat, 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 pat. So I don't know who named it, the pat, pat. One of my students did. I think she emailed me and said, "Do I do the pat, pat here?" I said, "Yes, you do the pat, pat there. That'll be great." And so this will go ahead and pat it into another little area of light. Let's see if I can get the rest of this tree to mesh with the green. And then I can also scrape in a branch if I want. I love doing that scraping.
Sgraffito.
Sgraffito, yeah, that is a word. All right. All right, let's see if I want to do a little grass.
We're hoping that you'll post a picture of this after it's complete.
Now I'm scraping and getting the wash and the tone to come up. It looks like grass. You see it?
Yes, nice. Nice.
Okay, so that's what we're doing now. We're taking the paint that looks very ugly and ugly stage, and we're trying to make it beautiful. You gotta have the ugly stage before you have the beauty stage. It works in life. It's never that easy. Now the wonderful scraping of the warm wash is coming through nicely. I like that. Now also, that being said, the paint has had time to set a little. So it's not slippery anymore. It's more painterly. So now I can sculpt it even more. I can keep scraping into that undertone and make it warm. This painting will probably be a lot different than that one because this wash was darker than this. And that's setting a tone for that scraping to happen.
We're going to need to wrap up with some questions and finals, but this has been fantastic.
Okay, so is that enough to show you how this
Yeah,
works?
yeah, absolutely. That's great. Love the
Okay.
techniques, and I love how the transparent colors are working as part of it.
Okay, let me get back in front of the camera so I can see you.
Yay,
Is that good?
that is great. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
so much for that. And if you do end up finishing that, please share it
Oh,
with.
I will definitely post it. I can post it on the comments, right?
Yep, yep.
I will do that for you guys.
If not, you can send it to me and I'll make sure I post it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of thank yous, learning some new stuff. You have some folks here who have attended some of your demos.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Hope you're painting. Hope you're doing well.
But no, this has been wonderful and great to see your technique and the application of the color and just the directness of that process is really fun to experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I always tell anybody who's watching that haven't taught you yet or met you yet, but I tell everybody that I've taught, and I'll tell you to just email me questions. I'm happy to do that. Happy to give advice. We're all this little club, and we're all in it, right? We're in this club. So
Absolutely. And
I'm
that
happy to
reminds
help.
me, I will put in your website into the comments here too, so folks can
Mhm.
get a hold of you and see what's going on. Do you have any announcements, anything coming up that you'd like to share with folks? Any exhibitions, workshops?
I just had an exhibition, so that's finished. I have a workshop in Charleston, 1st of November, at Seabrook Island, which is a resort outside of Charleston. It's a sister resort to Kiowa. They share the same entrance, they split apart. I also have the booth coming up next June.
Oh, fun.
I love to teach at the booth. If you're anywhere near Atlanta, it's outside of Atlanta. And it's just a great little town and a great facility. So I'll teach there. And in Venice, I teach in March at our local art center here.
Very nice. And all this information is on your website?
It is. Yeah, all the dates and the prices and who to contact.
Excellent, excellent, exciting. So make sure you guys follow her there. And you're on social media as well. Those links are on your website also.
And if you haven't turned a Cobra, I recommend it. My husband is delighted with it because I paint in the house now and it doesn't smell. He's happy about that. When I do have something that smells, he comments, "What is that? You're not using Cobra?" But sometimes you have to varnish and you have to do things and it's a little smelly. You have to glue. But I do love the Cobra because of its cleanliness, no solvents, and creamy, creamy, creamy paint. Very good.
Beautiful paint, very buttery. Absolutely. Well, I guess we should give away some paint then, now that we're talking it up. And I've taken all the names and put it into my little random selector, and we have a winner. The winner is Nancy Halliday. Nancy, you are the winner of the paint today. Congratulations. Make sure you direct message me at Royal Talons NA, and we'll get your shipping address and get you out all of these wonderful colors that Karen shared with us today.
I'm glad you made it to the end, guys. I appreciate it.
No, this was perfect. I really enjoy seeing you paint and listening to the insights you have and the approach to painting. I think it's a very liberating for a lot of people to get tied up and trying to be meticulous about detail and just letting the paint kind of
It
create
is,
that.
and the secret is not to be a perfectionist. The secret is to just experiment and you will make things happen. If you try to make it happen, you can't. But you will make it happen if you experiment and just let that go.
That's right. That's right. My new favorite saying by Robert Henry. It's not about making art, it's about creating a place for art to happen.
Perfect.
My new favorite saying. All right, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming, and thank you, Jeff, for asking me. I enjoyed it.
Thanks for taking time. Always lovely to see you and work with you, and looking forward to doing more in the future. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Creators